Okay, welcome back to Hold My Matcha. It's been a bit. We took a little break for the holidays. Took a little rest. I don't know about you, but the holidays were insane for me. So it was a well-needed break from the chaos. We have a fun little episode for you today. One we've been promising from the beginning. We're going to talk about it today. One of our favorite topics. But before we get into it, how was your holiday?
My holidays were pretty good. Not super eventful. Yours were super eventful.
Yeah, they
so
were.
I've heard.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing to admit, and yes, I'm about to say it on the internet, so here we go.
You don't have to.
It's okay. I fell in the shower. And I hit my head, got a little concussion, still feeling, the echoes of that now, but we're coming out on the other side. I worked a lot, so it was a little crazy, but overall, they were nice. Lots of new shows, lots of, hanging out with family, that sort of thing, so.
I worked Christmas week. I didn't do anything, though. It's one of those things where you had to be present even though there wasn't any work. Mm-hmm. But hey, I kept myself entertained. Probably should have watched more shows like you did, or maybe wrote, but it's hard. I just wanted to take a nap instead.
Just take a nap in your office chair.
Exactly. I have my own office, so it's very nice. As you can see, we sat here talking for a very long time as our matcha is almost out.
Yes, that's becoming a problem. We've actually done this several times now, where we sit down and we are going to film, and then we just end up talking, and it wastes a lot of time. I have been here for 3 hours. We're just now filming, so yeah, we get a little sidetracked sometimes. But we are excited. We're excited about this one. This one's a fun one. Do you want to explain to us kind of what it is?
What it is.
Not what it is, but what it is.
What it is. What it
what it is. What is it?
What capital IT is.
What It by Stephen King is.
That's a better one.
I always have to do that because every time I mention it in front of my brother, he goes, "What?" And I have to say It by Stephen King, otherwise he just continues to ask me what.
What's that news fail of that guy talking to this his co-anchor, and he's like, I was just watching an episode of You, which is the Netflix show You, and she had no idea what she was like. What do you mean you watched an episode of me? He's like, no, it's You on Netflix. I'm on Netflix. No, you,
You, the
it's
TV
such a
show.
Funny clip. That's how this feels. But I don't know. I might describe it well or not, because main difference between us right now is that she has read the very thick Stephen King book, which, as you say, is a headache and you need to take breaks from, which is understandable.
Actually, reading that book feels like having a concussion, which I can say now. I'm not joking.
Because you've had one.
Yeah, I'm not joking. It actually does feel like having a concussion reading that book.
But actually, interestingly enough, I was... I heard of it coming out, and I saw that the first one was a really good success. Really big success, I guess. And it was a lot better than the first one that they had made. And then I saw that they were making a second one with older versions. And I actually hadn't seen the first one. I had seen a lot of bits and pieces, so I knew what happened. And at the time the second one came out, I was hanging out with this friend all summer. So we always went to the movies, and we saw It Chapter 2 in theaters. And I loved it. And it made me want to go back and watch the first one. And then Trinity and I went to college, and we've mentioned this before, that she has got two very big fears.
I had
two very big fears. One of them being clowns.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, maybe not a kid, more like a teenager, I was just scared of clowns. I didn't like them. And it was actually a joke in my family, if you sent me a clown shark. It was funny because I was afraid of clowns and sharks. Still am afraid of sharks. Definitely afraid of sharks. Oh gosh, no. But I was scared of clowns. And one day, Rose said, let's watch it. So I watched the first one with her at my house, and I closed my eyes every time the clown was on screen. I ended up loving the movie so much that I decided I was going to power through and watch it looking at the clown. And I'm not scared of clowns anymore.
It's also easier with Pennywise when us as creators and like film people, we got to like really liking the actor for Pennywise and seeing the behind the scenes of him and him working. It was really fun and fascinating. Yeah. But yes, I can say, as somebody who has been present in watching her look her fears in the eyes, clowns is curable. Sharks, very much no. But then again, clowns was on the screen, and sharks was a little more real whenever I was there during that moment.
No, listen. This is a segue. I'm terrified of sharks. I have thalassophobia. I really don't like deep water where I like can't see anything. It makes my toes curl. I'm not even kidding. Actually, the kids that I nanny, I have taken them to the theater before, and there has been like a trailer for something with water, and they are covering my eyes because I'm terrified of like the water and sharks, and I cannot, I have nightmares about sharks, guys. I can't, I literally can't do sharks. It bothers me, the water bothers me, I can't do it. Nope. Anyway, back to it.
Yes.
Let me stop ranting about sharks.
Forgot that Jaws was still a part of the Universal backlot tour. That was where that incident happened, and Trinity, unfortunately, was on the side of the car where Jaws came up. Yeah. So, not a fun day for Trinity.
Listen. Okay, so we had been, I don't know if we had been told that they dismantled, or that, no. What happened was, they told us that the shark wasn't it wasn't working. At Universal, there's like a studio tour ride. You go on a ride, it takes you through different like movie set type things or whatever, and there is a Jaws section, and I think we were told originally that the shark wasn't in operation, it wasn't coming up, and so they weren't like gonna take us to that section or whatever. In hindsight, I think they told us that to scare us, to be like, it's not happening, and then you go and it does happen. I think that was the point. Yes,
I remember knowing 110%. That they had a Jaws ride with that bit in there, like a ride dedicated to Jaws, but it was, I think Harry Potter was built on top of that. That was part of that area.
Maybe.
So I thought the Jaws ride was gone because it was literally just the Jaws ride, and I didn't know that they put it as a part of the backlot tour.
I think they were probably keeping it under wraps on purpose. Like, I think they were doing it so that people get on the ride and like, under the guise of safety, like that's not going to happen or whatever. And then it did. And so we're like on this ride. We've gone through all of these different like segments, and like you pass like the Norman Bates house and things like that. And it takes us to this little like dock kind of, and it stops, and all of a sudden the music started playing, and I'm sitting on the outside. So this little cart, it's facing this direction, and Rose is on the inside and I'm on the outside, right next to the water. And all of a sudden we hear the music, and I went, oh no. And I'm like screaming. I'm like, absolutely not. And I crunch over, and this shark, I'm telling you, we were in like the middle of the ride too. So the shark came up right at me. I'm not even kidding. It was so bad. And Rose thought it was freaking hilarious. It was awful. No, absolutely not.
It was more of a moment of me like not thinking about you sitting there or what was happening, and I was getting excited while you were panicking because I was like, they kept it, and you're like,
I was like, why? With like this close from having an actual panic attack. I cannot with sharks. I literally, if you've seen Finding Nemo, you know that Bruce the shark, he comes out like, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the movie. He's freaky. Every time that shark was on screen when I was a kid, I was hiding behind the chair. I was like, can't do it. He freaks me out. He has too many teeth. He could eat me. He likes the smell of blood. I can't do it. It's nope, don't like it.
To be fair, as a kid, Bruce is scary.
Bruce is scary as an adult. I don't watch Bruce as an adult. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm terrified of sharks. We have segued so bad. I'm so sorry. Anyways, back to Pennywise.
Back to clowns, not
Yes.
sharks.
Clowns. We're just talking about all of my fears. Guys, I swear I'm sane most of the time.
Those are valid fears, though.
Yeah.
It'd be different if you had like a phobia of doorknobs or something. That's a thing.
Have you ever heard of Liam Payne being terrified of spoons?
Maybe I have.
Yeah, in like early One Direction days, Liam Payne was terrified of spoons. Anyway, in terms of irrational fears.
Mhm.
Anyway. Yes.
My brain wanted to talk about my fear, but I always mispronounce it. But we're not on. Well,
What is your
we're on a
fear?
scary. I tried to explain it to my mom, and she was like, "Everybody has that fear," and I'm like, "No, it's the kind of fear where you have like a bodily reaction kind of thing." And I didn't realize. I should have realized it sooner. I think I knew it. I just didn't really know until I tried to play like a video game with like a you have to fast react kind of thing to run or fight. And I panic and I like put the controller down and I can't and I just give up. And it's called the fear of being like chased, which like, you know, you see things like that. Some people have like a genuine fear of that to where they like panic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like obviously nobody likes being chased like by anything scary, but I'm like, no, it's almost literally anything.
That's
And that's not
interesting.
just a threat. You know, like I don't like the idea of being chased. I panic so much knowing something is behind me, chasing me. And I have like a
Interesting.
bodily reaction. So don't hand me a controller in some sort of hiding or fighting game, especially if it's horror, because I'm not gonna run. I'm just gonna throw the controller down and like close my eyes and just let it kill me, even though I can get away. Like I can't do it. I the second I realized that while playing a game, I realized I should have known it a lot sooner, because in college I had this really awesome friend who got engaged recently. Kudos. But we were doing a bit and I insulted him, because that was what we did. We messed with each other as I was leaving the apartment, and he got all angry and acted like he was about to come get me. And I have never been more afraid in my entire. I ran down that hall. I mean, I have never run faster in my life, because this was a big dude. I thought he was actually gonna come and get me.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I ran, and I kid you not, I had a nightmare about it that night.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that you would not survive if Pennywise was chasing you.
Probably not.
Really good comments.
Yeah. I don't really know how it came about. I think when I was like, I wasn't super interested in Bill Skarsgård until we really started getting into the movies.
Yeah.
And I think part of like me kind of coercing or joking with you to watch it, I was like, no, but look, he's not scary. He's actually like hot. Like I was like, you know, like showing you like, but also it's interesting to look at the actors underneath crazy makeup and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's what you actually look like. That's actually kind of interesting, and think that like they have the talents that they do. And he's really, really talented.
He really is. He really is. He does some crazy stuff, man. He really does. Well, long story short, she convinced me to watch it, and it is one of my favorite things ever, honestly. It is so well done. We literally love it. Love it. We love it, and we love it. Yeah.
What's in the second one when Eddie is like, when it says it, doesn't mean it, when it doesn't mean
it.
I mean, they do it too,
Yeah,
which is funny.
There's a moment in the second, which I guess, to backtrack a little bit, the way that the book, It, by Stephen King is formatted, is it jumps from the 60s to the 80s, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. It might be the 50s or whatever, but it's 27 years, so in the past, in the present. And the past is all of the main characters as kids. They're roughly like 12, 13, give or take. And then the present tense is them as adults. And so basically what happens is when they're kids, they live in this town called Derry, Maine, and they learn that there is a clown terrorizing children, eating children, kidnapping them. And they basically band together to try and stop him. And they do, but come to find out it's only temporary. So 27 years later, which is the hibernation period that Pennywise adheres to, they come back and they try to defeat him as adults. And the original miniseries that came out in the 90s, I believe, kind of kept with the format. It time jumped every once in a while, and so you were with the kids and then you were with them as adults and so on and so forth. That is a very long version of the story. If you enjoy the story, I recommend watching it at least once just to kind of get a grasp on like how the story was adapted the first time. And also it gives you an insight to the characters specific to the novel that doesn't quite happen in the newer movies. They change a couple of things in the newer ones, but the newer ones, which were they were directed by Andy Muschietti, who we really like. We really, really like what he did with these movies. He split them into chapters 1 and 2, and chapter 1 follows the gang. They call themselves the Losers. In the 80s, they changed the time period for this. When they're kids in the 80s, the first time that they fight Pennywise. And then the second chapter follows them as adults as they go back to Derry in, I believe it was supposed to be 2017, 2019, something like that. And they go and try to defeat him. So
27 years later.
Yes, 27 years later. Have to adhere to the hibernation period. It's this whole... We won't get into this because this would make the episode far longer, but there is this whole segment of lore that has to do with, like, Pennywise is a interdimensional space demon clown thing, and there's some, like, strange rules, i.e. the 27 years that come from that. So, that's kind of the bare bones, like, what this is, and... There's lots of funny moments. These movies were kind of interesting in that they had, kind of in the way that Stranger Things cast a bunch of kids and then like let them cuss and do things that kids don't normally do. It was the same. They, let them kind of stick with that sort of humor. And it definitely follows them into the second movies as, they're adults. And so there's lots of funny moments that we like to quote all the time. So.
Oh yeah. The humor's great. We love the way it hits and the way they say it. I think when we realized these were some of our favorite horror movies, people said, like, I don't really know, I don't like it that much, it wasn't that scary. And for us, we were like, well, the scare factor wasn't really the deal breaker for us. We loved the format and the way it was done. It still can be freaky. Not so much anymore, especially if you've seen it multiple times.
Right.
But the way it's written to where it has horror aspects, but also comedy aspects, and also romantic and friendship aspects. Like, it was all, and, the whole big theme of kind of like what Stephen King does with a lot of his is that, like, kids being on their own and not having any help or understanding of adults, which was, I feel like, a big theme in a lot of his books.
Well, and that might point to the fact that he as a kid probably didn't have a lot of understanding of adults, and, it lends to the fact that these kids are majorly unsupported. Which is kind of interesting. You mentioned Friends, and actually one of the first things that I have written here is that the dynamic that Muschietti created in these movies was some sort of almost like dance between the horrific aspects of things that were happening with Clown and, kids dying and things like that, and the nostalgia that comes from yes, the 80s. I think that's probably why they changed the time period a bit, but being in the 80s, but also being a kid and having a close group of friends who, you feel are outcasts in a sense, and then you grow up and you don't have that anymore because you all separated, you all went different places, and then you go home and you meet them again and you see things that you saw as a kid again. So there's this very intricate dance between those two aspects, and I kind of wanted to touch on that dynamic because I feel like it is a very large part of these two specific iterations of this story. So,
yeah,
have anything to say about that?
No, that's what's so sweet about the second one too, and pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, is because they play into the fact that, like, oh, we're all grown up, them reuniting and kind of talking about all their different lives and all the different places that they went.
Right.
And you watch, and they're kind of they come back to do this battle once again, and they're like, oh no, I can't remember what happened this summer. We can't remember what happened here, and like they're kind of trying to remember the details of their childhood. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, how can you not remember? You just like fought a demon clown, and
right.
It feels like not much time has passed when you just go from like one movie to the other. But for them, it's been 27 years, and I think like, oh yeah, I would not remember anything 27 years later.
Well, and I mean, we'd also be remiss to ignore the fact that there is actually, I guess we haven't talked about this, but something about Pennywise and his magic or whatever, it creates like a block in their memories. So like they leave, and this happens differently in each iteration. So, I mean, slightly different. But they forget when they leave. So when they leave Derry and they go elsewhere, it kind of takes their memories away. So the further you get away from Derry, the more likely you are to forget, which is why if you watch the second one specifically, Mike, who stayed in Derry as an adult, he remembers everything because he chose to stay. He chose to be the sacrifice and stay and wait for Pennywise to come back because they knew he would be coming back. And they had, they'd vowed to come back and kill him. And none of them remember because they're older, but also because there's this sort of like magical block or whatever on their memories.
They left their lives behind.
To your point, I think that block, this whole like supernatural, like you don't remember anything because Pennywise takes those memories from you thing, lends to the fact that as you grow older, you forget things that happen in your childhood. So I think maybe, I mean,
I think it's also a light metaphor for trauma, but I think that's the main thing that they reference on. Childhood and connections is like one of the biggest themes in these movies, especially the second one. Like they talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
They can't remember things or like reconnecting or like remember what made them good friends.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that really is a big part of it is, as adults, you're going to forget things that happened in your childhood, things that may have been monumental at the time and could still be to this day, but you are so far removed from it that you can't remember. And I think that's probably a really big part of why they chose to go the direction that they did. And they spend a grand amount of time on, oh, I remember this, or oh, I remember that now. Oh, I went here, so I get this now, that sort of thing. So
we rewatched 1 and 2 not in the same night. I figured like we could rewatch the movies, and then I forgot how long they each are, but we rewatched them together because I feel like we always have to do that when we meet up after a while. Gotta refresh your memory.
We love to do that. We love to rewatch those movies.
And I love that sometimes when we go back and sit there and watch, like we talk about more things that we kind of like notice or like, and I mean, he did this and this and this. Like we'll sit there and we'll talk about it, which is just so fun to do.
I think that points to the fact that like these movies are really so well made, but on a selfish note, I think that also points to the fact that we're just really good friends and we can talk about anything. But on a realistic note, I do think they're really well done, and even like the smallest bits can be so impactful. Yeah.
I love watching like behind the scenes stuff on how they made that and all the work that they put into that, because you always watch things like that and you wonder like, I mean they're pretty young in the first one, and you wonder kind of how like child actors do that kind of thing or like work with that. And I loved watching interviews of them talking about working with Bill Skarsgård, and they're like, we met him we saw him at the table read, and then we didn't see him again until he was in like full makeup, which they did on purpose. It's like, no, it's not like we don't want you to be friends with these kids, but like we want you to be kind of an ominous stranger that's coming in with this big clown makeup to like torture them. But he was a really nice guy, and like I think the first scene he did was with Jack Dylan Grazer, and he like broke his arm and he was all up in his face and like making fun of him and doing like silly sounds and like even drooling, which Bill Skarsgård did himself. Like the drooling thing I don't think was anybody but him. I think he
does that himself. There's interviews of him actually like he does that himself.
I can't remember which talk show it is, but I remember he said on the talk show that when it came to like the lip and like the whole drooling thing, he was thinking of like a grizzly bear when he did it, which is just so interesting hearing him talk about like all of his like inspirations or things that he like thought about when it came to like playing Pennywise or like just doing the demeanors, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, he was very dedicated to the role. That much is clear. To circle back to the nostalgia aspect of all of this, how do you feel like that heart of these films lends to the horror. Like, how does it amplify the horror aspects? Because I feel like if I was going to think of a movie as scary, it would be this one, but not because Pennywise is scary or the jump scares got me, but because of the like nostalgia that it brings up and the way that it kind of stabs you in the heart. Okay, sometimes, you know?
Yeah. The things that definitely, or the thing that definitely gives me kind of like the chills when I think about it, horror aspect wise, is in the second one. Spoilers, obviously, is in the second one when they meet up again and Beverly kind of finally admits what visions she has.
Mm.
And like she's like telling them, like, I've seen all of us die. Like, the way, because, you know, she knew how Stanley would die. Like, she saw it. And it was, I always love that bit where she says it on the phone before his wife does.
Right.
Because she knew, she's seen a vision of it. And she didn't really think about all those visions until they started coming back up again and they're talking about it. They're all very freaked out. Like,
Yeah.
and she's like, no, if we don't beat it this cycle, none of us live like another 10 years. That part always gave me chills thinking about like the fear factor of just making you freak out over thinking like you're probably going to die and it may not be by me directly, but it's going to happen. And it's freaky to think about.
Right. Yeah, I think it really preys on our I think our vulnerability as emotional people, you know? Everybody, you know, has people in their life that they have loved or they do love, places that they've been that they love, and these movies do their best to kind of make those things magical, make those friendships magical, make those places magical. Maybe magical is not even the right word. More like whimsical almost, like a fairy tale, but like a fairy tale that's reachable or that you can almost remember in the back of your head, like, oh, this is what this was like as a kid. This is what these people were like as kids. And then you get to that point and it's like, we've experienced all of this, but I see how it ends if we don't get somewhere, if we don't accomplish something. Which I think makes it all the more terrifying because you want to hold on to those memories. You want to, we all have said, I'm sure, that being an adult sucks because there's something just pure and fun about being a kid and experiencing the world in that way. And these 6 people, I guess, if you don't count Stanley, they grow sorry. They grow up and they have to face that not only is that childhood gone, but so is their future. Which is, yeah, I think that's pretty horrific, actually.
Yeah. Because I think they talk about, you know, this demon terrorizes kids. Because, you know,
Mhm.
I think it doesn't even always need to be said, like, kids are very susceptible. They're easy to deceive. They're impressionable, so it's easier for him to feed off of the innocent. And then you don't expect him to come after you again
Mhm.
years later when you're full grown adults. But it's established that, oh, they defeated him, so now it's kind of like these are his foes now, like because he's tried so hard to get them the first time, it's almost like his body now has a craving for like, no, I need you because you got away from me. I
Right.
want what I can't have. But also he's already implemented this fear in their minds as children. Like when you're a kid, those little kid fears, like they have they strike very deep. They play off of that a lot in these films. Is like, even though these are like full grown adults with like big girl and boy jobs,
Yeah.
just saying his name freaked them out because it was this childhood fear that almost like ignited inside of them even when they thought it was kind of gone, like it was a bad dream. When it was brought up again, because I think one of the cool things we liked about the second one is that Mike, who stayed behind and he saw that Pennywise was back, he called each and every one of them, and when they just simply saw the caller ID on their phones, they immediately got scared.
Right.
Which was so cool to do.
Actually, now that you're talking about all of that, I just had a thought. And this may not be the intention, but I just thought, you know, what if it's what if it's a metaphor for, as a kid, you're terrified of as an adult, things that kids are scared of seem trivial. But I think if you boil it down, kids are afraid of the same things that adults are. They just look different. And so what if it's this metaphor for, even if you're an adult now, you still fear the same things that you do as a kid, and sometimes that's going to come back to bite you. And if you don't retain the lessons that you learn as a kid, which for these 7 kids was learning to work together to achieve a goal, which was defeating Pennywise, they, as adults, are all on their own. They've separated, they're across the US, they're not together, they're doing different things, they haven't talked in years, so they're not united, they're not working together. So in a sense, they go back, face the same fear they had as kids, that they were losers, that they were alone, that nobody accepted them.
I mean, high school was really crap for them, middle school or whatever. Like, they didn't have
Yeah.
a great childhood except for each other. That was
Right.
kind of the pivotal moment, is them becoming friends.
I don't know. That is that's a very interesting way to think about that, actually. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, we get. I mean, a lot of horror movies or things like that really tap into like, oh, childhood fears coming back in like in a different format and even scarier as an adult because it's just something that's been there that whole time. But for this, they just do it so differently because it's a collective group of people that are
Mhm.
afraid of the same thing. Because as a demon, he had that power when they were kids. He had that
Right.
power to make them to read into their fears, which, I feel like there's a lot of formats for that, I mean, when I thought of Pennywise, when I describe him as like a boggart from Harry Potter. Like
Oh, yeah.
he knows what you're afraid of, so he will take that form
Mhm.
to freak you out and make you vulnerable. But I mean, it's one thing when like you're like, oh, I had a nightmare. It was so freaking. You're describing to somebody how scary it was, and they're like, oh, come on, it's not that big a deal. It's different when everybody in the room is afraid of the same thing you are. It's like if your parents
Right.
were afraid of the same thing you were. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, that unsettles me because everybody here knows how bad this is.
Right. Well, and you want to know what's interesting is I'm still thinking about this while you're talking about this. They're Pennywise, going with the metaphor, he's like a boggart. He takes the form of what you're afraid of. But let's assume it's the simplest form. So for, say, Beverly, I think she's most afraid of being stuck with her dad for the rest of her life. She's afraid of becoming him, of being hurt by him. She's afraid of not having her autonomy and being able to, live her life outside of his cage. And the form that Pennywise takes to scare her is her father in some areas, but also an old lady in some areas. An old lady who still lives in the same house she grew up in. So, like, that's interesting because, like, it's the simplest version of her fear, her father's face, but even as an adult, she still fears the same thing. And it's the same with, like Eddie, he gets the leper, and the leper is disgusting and riddled with, spots, and it pukes on him and all of those things. But I don't think he's scared of that. He's scared of what his mother did to him. He's scared of her Munchausens and of, being stuck under her thumb, and that's what the leper represents to him. I don't know, that's just very interesting because, like, I've thought about those things before, they represent more than that, but it's not really something you think about when you're watching it the first time. I guess we've just watched it enough to, like, kind of look past, the first layer or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, getting deep into each of their fears is interesting because when you watch it the first time, you're like, oh yeah, if you're afraid of snakes or spiders, he's just gonna appear as that because it freaks you out. But no,
Mhm.
there's always something deeper to it. I mean, like the the main guy, technically
Mhm.
per se, let's say Bill,
I mean,
his was
yeah.
like Pennywise must think, oh, this is easy. Guilt, oh, such an easy one to feed into, and he had
Yeah.
so much of that. All he had to do was appear as his deceased little brother,
Right.
who he knew Pennywise took. So, I mean, like, that's every villain's playground, is
Mhm.
making them feel guilt over that. I mean, his was pretty obvious to
Yeah.
spot. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't come in that much of a different form. He just appeared
Yeah.
as Georgie, really, and kept saying, like, why did you leave me? Why'd you do
Mhm.
this? Constantly blaming him. That even when he was an adult, it still, like, brought this, like, enraged feeling inside of him, both for Pennywise, but also a hatred for himself,
Mhm.
which was just so interesting.
Have you noticed that Richie really only sees Pennywise?
Yeah.
He doesn't see anything else. I think that's interesting because so Richie, he goes into a room full of mimics and like clown dolls and things like that, and he doesn't ever have anything that looks different. There is the lumberjack, but I feel like the lumberjack is just more of like the stepping stone to when Pennywise comes towards him.
Mhm.
But yeah, Richie only sees the clown. And that's an interesting one to think about because Richie hides behind his act for pretty much his entire life.
Like, he's the funny guy.
So that's interesting too. That's really interesting.
That could be a lot of things when I think about it. Like, yeah, everybody's got a fear of clowns, so his was just comedically the obvious or easy one, because clowns can be freaky. But also that, like, he's a humorous one. I mean, like, he grows up and Bill Hader plays him, was like this guy with like a stand-up comedy show.
Yeah.
But it's also like when Stranger Things came out, I keep thinking to myself, like, Vecna and Will is kind of like a Pennywise Richie situation going on here, of like this gross demon being. Like, you know, there's so many bad things in this world, but you know it would be worse if people knew your secret.
Oh
It's like,
yeah.
oh my
Well,
gosh.
and that's interesting too because you could argue that a clown puts on their act in a costume, in makeup, and you don't see their true face. And Richie, regardless of which angle you come at this from, he very clearly doesn't feel like he's going to be accepted by anyone for any reason. I don't think he feels worthy of it. And I think that's kind of obvious in the way that Finn plays him and in the way that Bill plays him. And there is a very, clear highlight on his relationship with Eddie, and I think that also plays an interesting role in maybe he just doesn't feel like he can exist outside of the mask he's created for himself, which is a comedian who doesn't even write his own jokes. That's interesting.
Yeah, his is very interesting. It can be played multiple different ways, but I do think the main one is like,
Mhm.
yeah, he's somebody who is struggling with personal things.
Yeah.
And hiding behind comedy, even if nobody else laughs, is a common thing.
Yeah, he probably feels safer behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And Pennywise tries to point that out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if anyone knows your secret, they're all gonna leave you. They're gonna hate you, sort of thing. So, yeah, that is interesting. Honestly, I feel like Richie is more the central character than Bill is. Maybe
yeah,
that's
after
a
watching the
fat
second
statement,
one,
but
I agree. I feel after watching the second one, I do love Bill. He's awesome. But the second one really helps you highlight with everybody else.
Mhm.
I mean, like, when I watch the second one, I become a lot more interested in well, all of them, but like second one, I become a lot more interested in um what's his name? Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I
Ben.
love him. Ben. I
I
kept on wanting to say
love Ben.
Bob. I
That's
don't
what I
know
was gonna
why.
say. That's what I was gonna
I
say. He's
love
so sweet. I
He's so
love
sweet.
Ben.
He's very overlooked in the first one, which maybe Andy did on purpose, because like he comes
Maybe.
back with this very obvious kind of presentation in the second one, not just because he's like all hot and all that, but like he's kind of he's older and he's very much found himself, as
Yeah.
opposed to this like shy kid in like middle school.
Yeah, I love him. I love that actor too. I've seen that actor in another show and he's so great. That character is honestly that character is pretty devoid of flaws, which isn't realistic at all, but he is just a bright shining star. He is so kind, so understanding, he's protective. Ben is so great. Ben is just so great.
Oh, yeah.
He's so great.
You don't even realize until the second one how much of the glue he is for the group.
He really is, yeah. He really, really is. I guess we'd be remiss not to mention Stanley. Poor Stanley.
his actor was phenomenal. It was uncanny. Wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. If you ever watch these movies, you will be shocked. The older actor for Stanley is like his freaking twin. It's insane.
And Eddie.
Yeah, they look so similar.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Oh, that was another thing. We were gonna mention this at the beginning of the episode, and I totally forgot. I wrote this episode in the beginning of December, so prior to this event. But we decided to go ahead and go forward with it because we do love the story, and we also love James Ransone. And it's really sad. He passed away towards the end of December. And so we wanted to do it to honor the movies and honor the story, but also to honor him. We really enjoyed his performance, and yeah, there's not much else to say about that, but he did pass away, so.
He was one of our favorite characters, and you don't really, I mean, everybody hears this, especially with like big actors, like you never truly see what could be going on in their personal lives, but he was such a great actor, and he played such a fun character that we loved and like we quoted all the time. So when we saw that and how he came to pass, it was just like, oh my goodness, like it was kind of like a tidal wave of like almost reality in a sense. And even though we're not like super popular and we probably have like 3 listeners, we still wanted to be all sweet and be like, we love him a lot, we love these movies, we were gonna make this episode at some point, and then learning that little devoted to for him because we're big fans. Yeah, we were sad to hear about it, and we tussled with whether or not we were going to do this episode in light of that. But I feel like it's more respectful to him and the things that he did accomplish in his life, to mention these things, to talk about them, and to appreciate them outwardly. So if anything, we really hope that you hear all of this and you go watch them and you enjoy them just as much as we have, and you enjoy him just as much as we have, as we will continue to do moving forward. We do truly love him. So yeah. Personally, I think he was probably the funniest character in first one, yes. Second one, definitely. He did so great with that. He was the other one alongside Stanley that the older actor was just like so uncanny to the younger actor. And the way, it's funny to think about those older actors looking at these kids and studying their demeanors and how they acted in order to make it very accurate. And he did what Jack Dylan Grazer did so well. It was just so funny. Yeah, it's insane how well the older cast matched the younger cast, and vice versa. They really kind of melded into each other, and it was kind of impressive the way that they all pulled it off. Every time I watch it, I'm like, dang, they did so well. So yeah. Because speaking of which, now that you said that, because there's one thing we always like love in the second one, and that is Andy wanted to do some extra scenes with the younger versions of like flipping from past to present. So, he brought the younger actors back to do some transitions. To do some extra scenes, and we love the transitions from past to present. Oh my gosh, they're so funny and pretty. The cinematography in these movies is insane. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Because we're film people, because we've like made films before, that sort of thing. Oh, I cannot express to you the transitions in some of these scenes are so good. It's not even funny. Every time we see one, we're like, so. I mean, having those scenes obviously adds to the story, and it really worked, but I loved it in a good way that like it puts them side by side, which is really helpful and really fun. You're not just watching just a movie with these older actors, like you're flipping back and forth, which I loved. I loved it so much, seeing them side by side, because then you're almost getting like a visual representation of how they are playing the older versions. You're like, actually, yeah, they're doing really good. Yeah. And it really lended to the nostalgia factor as well, because you're seeing them young and then you're flashing forward and seeing them as adults and what they're going through in both timelines. Yeah, it's that is really well done. But if we're going to talk about how well done it was, we can't miss Benjamin Wallfish.
Oh my gosh. The composer for these movies, oh, I love him so much. If you know me at all, you know that I love movie scores. My Spotify Wrapped is always composers. I am obsessed with movie scores. And Benjamin Wallfish has been in my top 5 for several years now. The score to these movies, if I want you to do anything, it is to sit down and just listen to these scores. They are so good. They are genuinely so good. I listen to at least 4 or 5 tracks from these scores daily. Like, I kid you not, they are my favorite thing ever. And the music lends to, let me just say lends for the 700th time in this episode, to the nostalgia factor and the horror factor in these movies so well. It is impressive. I cannot even describe to you the nostalgic moments, specifically towards the end of the movie, chapter 2. They are so beautiful. The cinematography is great. The acting is great. The music, stellar. It is insane how great the music is. Okay, I'm gonna stop gushing now.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
I randomly remembered an actual one little bit that actually did freak me out really bad when I first watched it. I got over it, but like I saw it and I was like, oh, and it's random. But it's actually very brief. It's just when in the first one when Mike catches a glimpse of Pennywise while he's being bullied, and Pennywise, it's just it's a gross thing.
Is it in the meat locker?
No, it's he's getting beaten up out in the fields, and he just looks up, and Pennywise is like very glowy eyed, and he's just in the middle of chomping on a hand, but the hand looks like a real like prop, so he waves it and it kind of like wobbles like this, and I remember just thinking like his whole face is bloody, and he's just casually chomping on it, and he waves with the hand with these big bright yellow eyes, and I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, ugh. Like I thought about it a lot. It really freaked me out. I got over it pretty quick, but that one.
He's a freaky boy.
He is a very freaky boy.
He's a freaky boy. When he kills the first kill in chapter 2, the guy they throw into the water, when he looks up from his chest, every time he looks up at the boyfriend from his chest, I went, oh, that's good. That's good. He did real good.
I think we were going to talk about the way he chomped like it was a dog.
Oh, yeah.
Eating
no, he
food.
does.
Like they do weird animations with his mouth to make him look like gross or animalistic, and that one's a weird one.
I wonder if there was a reason for that, actually, now that I'm thinking about that.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's the first kill. They do like one of those, like if you've ever seen like Criminal Minds, you know how they do like the kill first, and then they flash to like the team figuring out what happened or whatever. They did that sort of thing. They started the movie with a really interesting segment, actually, which mirrors a lot of things that happen later. But they have Pennywise kill a guy, and the way he does it is just so like brazen and like, haha, here I am sort of thing. I was like, oh, he feels fun today, I guess. Huh, interesting. It's very gross, actually. But yeah.
I gotta remember what I'm gonna say. We're gonna pause here. It's very interesting. I completely forgot about the intro to the second one, because when I watched it with a friend, I was like, pay attention to this first bit, because you don't think much of it. You think like, oh, it's so sad, and like we're getting reintroduced to Pennywise coming back after his hibernation and being all freaky, and like, oh, spoiler, he's feeding off of a vulnerable adult now, not just a kid. So
which is a change.
Which is a change. You think like, okay, that is probably relevant to him coming back, having a thirst for these children that he didn't get the first time. But
that's freaky.
Andy did this so well, and
it's so seamless. Like if you watch it the first time, you don't even realize what's happening.
No, you don't. And yet it's obvious. He makes it obvious yet not obvious, which is so great. And that is when you watch it and then you finish the movie. When you finish the movie, you need to remember that scene, because it is almost a perfect direct parallel, and it's done so beautifully. Really sad parallel too.
It really is, because
it's a very sad foreshadowing too.
Andy basically tells you what's happening he tells you how the story's going to end in the first 5 minutes. It's actually wild, because the first time you watch it, you're like, oh, it's just this couple getting terrorized by people, and then Pennywise kills them. Like, oh, okay, sure, Pennywise is back. Anyway, moving on. But then you finish the movie, and it literally foreshadows everything. It's done so well. Like, blink and you'll miss it. You have to rewatch, sort of thing. Even like the smallest details in both of those two characters at the beginning, they're just it's wild how that was done. So
yeah, it's
we
so
I don't want to
interesting,
spoil
too.
like
Yeah.
the ending of the movie
Yeah.
for everybody, because like if you haven't seen it, it's heartbreaking. And so I don't want to be like, this is what happens and this is why. It's really interesting, whatever. Like, I think you should watch it for yourself, and then you should go back and you should watch at least the first part again after that.
Yeah, once you finish it, go back and watch the beginning scene and you'll understand. But I think it's so funny that he was like, wow, I found a really cool intro. It introduces Pennywise, it's still freaky, and yet I could make it to where if you're not paying attention, I literally just foreshadowed what's about to happen, or what's the heartbreaking thing that's going to happen. And it's just, I'm sure he was like, so many stones and one bird.
Let me just pelt this bird with as many rocks as I can.
Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
and I didn't even fully think about all of that until we watched it again recently.
Yeah,
and I looked at the details.
Though we had watched it a few times before we realized what it was. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember what rewatches we've watched it a lot. We used to like watch it on a laptop in the dorm room. Anyway, like, it took us a while to figure it out, and then one day we watched it and we went, I remember we were sitting in the living room, in the dorm. We were sitting in the living room. We were watching it on my laptop because I had like a mini DVD extension or whatever for my laptop.
You're right.
And we were watching it, and we were eating canes, the canes that gave me food poisoning that one time.
Yeah.
And we were watching, and we went, oh, no way. Oh my gosh. We're so shocked. Anyway, you
I think it was the little that really made it.
Yeah,
like,
it
we're
was.
like, oh, that's funny because that's like it just clicked, which is just so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, this makes you want to go watch it, which you should.
I am telling you, you have to watch it. You have to. Okay.
It's just so good. And we weren't really going to get into this, just mostly the movies, and we could talk about the movies all day, but again, we love Andy so much. It's just, you think like, I think of it as this, as a film person, it's like, cool, I made these two awesome things, moving on. No, he's the kind of person that's like, I can talk about this all day, and I'm gonna do it. And
do
then
it good.
Welcome to Derry came along, and like, when you watch it, thankfully I have Trinity who read the book. So she knows more of like the little details, and we're watching it together. Obviously, we can't watch it apart, and she's pointing things out to me
my account
that are only in the book that nobody knew about, that are so intricate or weird or things you never even thought about. And I'm like, wow, he's really just like diving into his hyperfixation, and he's doing really well.
He did. I don't know what spurred on the prequel idea. I think it's really good. We have at this point in time only watched the first episode of Welcome to Derry. We're busy people, haven't gotten to the rest of it yet. But in the first episode alone, there were several things that we had to like pause, and I had to like explain, because like if you're watching and you don't know what they are, you're gonna like, once again, blink and you'll miss it. It really doesn't matter at all if you don't know anything about it, but I know something about it. So we pause, and I'm like, actually, so that means this. And actually I'll say it, if you see turtles anywhere, turtles are a big deal.
They're everywhere, which is funny.
They are everywhere. Turtles are important. And we had to pause, and I had to be like, Rose, do you see that turtle? Oh my gosh. And I think the first time I was like, oh, they just threw a turtle right in my face. Oh my gosh.
It's
and
everywhere.
Rose was like, what? And I had to explain what it is, which you aren't going to know what it is if you haven't read the book.
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain it because it's complicated and it doesn't really make any sense. If you're curious, Google it. It's on the wiki page.
Yeah, you can just Google it. Because I mean, I think people who didn't really know anything about it got to the bit where like, it was almost like a little like line of holy water blocking a demon kind of moment where like he would not go past the turtle, and people are like, what's with the turtle? Why is he so afraid of a turtle? Like, you gotta Google it. It's like book stuff.
It is a book thing. It's confusing. It's
like an angel demon clashing kind of way, in a sense.
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But like,
it has to,
weird stuff.
The turtle is the antithesis to Pennywise's clown. That's pretty much the answer.
Turtles.
Turtle. I don't know.
Why turtles?
Ask Stephen King.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Ask
I
Stephen
don't know
King.
why turtles came about.
I don't know. You could also ask Stephen King some other questions about things that happened in it, but we're not going there either. So anyway,
Hard
if you're
pass.
curious about the
Hard
turtle,
pass.
Google the turtle. Don't Google the other thing I'm talking about. You don't want to know. Anyway,
I'm
yeah.
sure they don't even know what you're talking about.
No, probably not. I don't encourage you to Google.
Yeah.
I did just Google just the turtle, nothing else.
We're
Okay?
being dramatic about it, but obviously Stephen King writes gross stuff, and thankfully Andy Muschietti makes good movies, so he knows what to and to not keep. That is, makes the movie.
What to not include.
What to not include.
Yeah.
He keeps the important things, which is
No
which
shade
is
to
great.
Stephen King because he is
He's a good writer.
great writer, albeit sometimes I think that he needs somebody to cuddle him while he sleeps because what is that man dreaming about?
He sleeps with a nightlight.
My God. I'm concerned.
He's having nightmares about turtles.
He's dreaming about turtles and kids with The Shining. Anyway,
I love his cameo in the second one. Did he have a cameo in the first one?
no.
Was he like in the background anywhere?
No.
Andy. That's the second one, right? No, it's the first one. Andy Muschietti has a little mini cameo. He's just standing in the back of like the pharmacy or something, which I think is really
Yes,
funny.
he
He's very
does.
obvious to spot because he's got like this nice beard and kind of like this ponytail, so it's just funny.
I actually
But
think that's the second one too.
is it the second one?
I'm pretty sure that's the second one. I don't think they did any cameos in the first.
I have
Well,
no idea. I can't remember.
Also, there weren't a lot of adults present in the first one. Which I think they did on purpose. Obviously, what is it, Keen?
Yeah.
The pharmacist Keen, he's in the first one. Briefly.
Him and the dad, that's really it.
And yeah, the dad. Oh, and Mike's grandfather. But I mean,
They both
well,
the pharmacist and the
Sonya's
dad
present.
serve as the same symbol for the fear of one person, sadly. So Beverly.
Oh, right.
They both serve as a similar purpose for her,
Right.
like, unfortunate
Yeah, Mike's grandfather,
life.
the pharmacist, her dad, and Sonya.
And
Sonya's
Eddie's
there.
mom. Who's
Yeah, Sonya
brief.
Kasparak. What a woman, I guess. I mean, I guess if we got to talk about her, she's definitely a big part of the movie. Moving on.
What was Bill Hader's line? Is like he was trying to hype him up. He's like, "Who killed a clown before he was 13? Who married a woman twice his size? Also me."
Also me.
They're so funny.
Yeah. Okay, so the joke is, and actually, if you watch it chapters 1 and 2, you will notice Sonya Kasparak, Eddie's mother, is played by the same woman who plays his wife in the second one, and they do that on purpose.
They just make her look less like
yeah.
a gross old lady, and they make her look kind of pretty, but it's the same actress, which is so funny.
I mentioned earlier that Eddie's fear, he gets the leper. That's what Pennywise appears as to him. But I think the leper really represents a lot of his fears as a hypochondriac, but also a lot of his fears as someone who had a mother like he had, who is at least an allegory.
The hypochondriac in him.
Yeah, at least she's at least an allegory for Munchausen's. And so is his wife. They, like I said, they're played by the same woman. And I think it's supposed to be like his mother passes and then he finds a woman exactly like his mother because he's stuck in a loop.
They did that twice, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Where they, one being more kind of sad than the other, but you know, those things are always very much, they're obvious even though they're not outright said. Because for Beverly, her father was very obviously abusive even if they didn't outright show it, and I'm sure a bunch of other things, and as well as most of the men and boys in her life, they show that, which was just unfortunate for her. So Jessica Chastain, who played the older version, we obviously see that she married a man who was similar to her father. He was very, very controlling, and he was actually pretty violent. And we're like, oh, well, yeah, that actually is a thing that happens sometimes. Girls tend to grow up and lean towards more what they were used to.
Yeah. And
hers was kind of, she had a lot more things, but a big one for her was breaking out of that habit and kind of realizing what she did deserve.
Well,
which was... Wait, we've already said spoilers, but which was Ben.
Yeah.
It was Ben.
He's so sweet, too. She so deserves it. Like,
she so deserved that.
And, like, when she's a kid, she's effectively trapped with her father because she's a kid and he's her dad. But as an adult, she marries Tom, and Tom effectively traps her by starting a business with her. They have like a fashion line, and he basically uses it to manipulate her into staying, which is also horrible. She experiences so much, and I feel so bad for her all the time, but I hate that like he gets to lord her success over her as well, which isn't really in the movies at all. It plays a little bit more of a role in the miniseries that came out in the 90s, and it's in the book too. But their relationship is very like brief. In chapter 2, they mention it and you see him for a minute, but that's really it. But her story is so tragic because she is basically controlled by the men in her life until she meets Ben, and he doesn't want to control her at all. And I think that's so sweet. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ooh, I'm randomly remembering the little things that kind of freaked me out when I first watched it, and that was not Ben's fear that Pennywise portrayed as in the first one was a little freaky to me, but for specifically the history book when it like
Oh, yeah.
slowly zoomed, because there was like this, what was the event? There was like this big explosion and it killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it was in the 1900s. So I think it was 1909.
Yeah.
There was an explosion at the Dairy Iron Works, which killed a bunch of people. Specifically, there was a few kids, and there's a photo of a tree,
and it just slowly zooms in, and you're like, what am I looking at? And you get closer, and you're like, oh, that's a child's head in the tree.
Head in the tree. Yeah.
It's like, oh, ugh. Like you don't think about that with the explosion, and it's just so unnerving. And then obviously his little vision next is this headless boy running around, which really the specific little bit that makes it creepy for me is like he's slowly coming down these stairs, and you don't notice he doesn't have a head until he gets all the way down, and you're like, oh, okay, nope, I'm okay.
Like no, thank you. That one actually, I remember because that's the first foray into Pennywise, I believe, in the first movie. I think that's one of the first times that we actually see him in the first movie. Obviously, excluding Georgie from that. It was like the first certifiable like jump scare in the movie. And I remember when we first watched it, so the time that I didn't look at the clown, I didn't look away fast enough, and I saw the clown because the headless boy like comes at Ben, and he's like in the basement of the library, you know, like in Ghostbusters when like they're in the library or in like the archive or whatever, that kind of area, and he's chasing him, and Ben is like turning around like, is he still behind me? And Pennywise comes at him instead of the boy turns into Pennywise or whatever. And it happened so fast that the first time I still saw that part, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Yeah, I didn't know it well enough to warn you, but you just kind of covered your eyes at every little bit.
Every time it happened, I was like, oh. And then I watched it again, and I was like, he's not scary at all.
Did I make you watch the dancing part in the first time? Because it was kind of funny. No. It wasn't really scary.
No, I didn't look at any of them, but the dancing part's my favorite part. Because listen, Pennywise, he's just a lonely boy. He just wants somebody to watch him dance.
Oh yeah.
He really just wants somebody to
watch him dance.
Yeah, he just wants somebody to watch his performance. And so when he does his little dance, he's so happy because he finally has an audience.
And I love, because like when it first came out, people were really like, what the heck was that? It was so weird, and like it's supposed to be serious, but it's funny. And in the second one, Bill Hader literally like talks, because they talk about Pennywise and they're like talking about how sometimes he did ridiculous things, and they almost joke about it sometimes. And you know, he does a little bit, he's like, remember the little dance he did? It's just so, mostly because it's Bill Hader, but like it's just so funny.
He like he comes out from the dark, and he goes, what does he say?
Time to float. He like tries to do his voice and scare them.
Losers. Or something like that.
It's like, wow, out of all the things to try and scare them with, you're trying to scare them with the very thing you guys are all trying to kill right now. And they're all like, why do you have to be like this?
Yeah. Oh, and then he nominates Eddie for a sacrifice, so.
It's like, we have to sacrifice. I nominate Eddie. What? Why? Just small, you'd fit on a barbecue.
Like, I'm 5'9".
It's like the kind of jokes they make, which is so funny.
You're small, you'd fit on a barbecue.
You're small, you'd fit on a barbecue. I'm like 5'8". That's like regular height.
That's like regular height. It's like, they're so funny. I'm not joking. These are the kinds of things that we quote to each other all the time because they're just so funny. Yeah.
The actors are great in the way they land. I remember I think because I know two of them. I don't remember the others. I think we've mentioned this a couple times, but because when they made the first one, there was obviously talks of the second one,
Mhm.
and they asked all the kid actors like, if they make a second one, who would you want to play the older
Mhm.
version of your character?
Yeah.
And they all said theirs. And Sophia Lillis actually said Jessica Chastain, and they got her. And Finn Wolfhard said Bill Hader, and they got
Right.
him. And Bill Hader said on a talk show like, yeah, apparently this kid just said it, and now I'm here. I mean, how much power does this kid have? Jeez Louise. Like, he was kind of making fun of it. It's like, wow, he says it, he got his wish. Like, it's
I
just
mean,
funny.
at that point, it was Finn Wolfhard world. I mean, Stranger Things, like he was everywhere at
Yeah,
that point.
he was big at that time.
He still is, but
Yeah.
you know.
I like what you wrote on the document, January Embers. What a cute little
Oh,
thing to have in the movies too that comes
yeah.
back.
So when I wrote this episode, I actually titled each of our topics from scores. So the three topics we have are Blood Oath, Nothing Lasts Forever, and January Embers. And I have to tell you, some of my favorite things about this whole franchise is the score, obviously, because I've already gushed about it, but the titles for each specific score are so good. It's actually like insane how good they are. One of my favorites is Beverly. It's just titled Beverly.
I was just gonna say that. I like the one that just says Beverly.
Yeah, that one's so good. There's just something about those scores. I tell people all the time, I have a couple different playlists for movie scores, but there's music from scores that I like to call sparkly. And these didn't quite fit into sparkly, but I created a playlist that's kind of adjacent to that. It's called the Fragility of Time, which if you're interested, my Spotify's under my name, and I have tons of playlists like that. But it was based off of the kind of the vibe that these scores give. This like the one titled Nothing Lasts Forever is one of the ones that plays at the end of chapter 2. It plays while Bill reads Stanley's letter, and it just stirs something in me. Like, it's just so whimsical and nostalgic and sparkly, and it's so good. And the titles fit so well. Yeah, anyway, I'm sorry. I could ramble about that for forever.
I love Stanley's letter.
Mhm.
Yeah, by the time you get to the end of 2, it's like so like bittersweet. The whole like, oh, it's over and all that, and like,
Mhm.
yeah, Stanley's letter is a really good wrap up for that.
Mhm.
And
There
'cause,
is
the
actually one titled Stan's letter.
yeah, because the actor didn't get much screen time, so I love that he's got a little narration for the
Mhm.
end of what he
Yeah.
wanted to say to them as an
Well,
adult.
and Stan in and of himself is a tragic character because, and he says this himself if you watch it, he takes himself off of the playing board because he knows that he can't do it. He can't go back. He can't fight Pennywise. So he does it because he loves them, because he wants them to win. And he creates this really beautiful space where he tells them, to live their life, to enjoy their life, to keep going, to move forward, that sort of thing. And it's a really beautiful sentiment because it flashes back to when they're all kids, and it creates this very grand picture that they had everything, and it might look different now, but they can move forward knowing that they did at one point have everything. So, yeah.
Very sweet. Very sweet wrap up. I always love that ending.
Mhm.
I always love the music, and he wanted to include all the actors and even like their voices, and like it was a little cheesy, but it was like really cute.
Mhm.
And when you get to the end, you're like, wow, that felt more like a cute friendship film more than it did like a horror film,
Right.
which was in a sense the point. Nostalgia is a big theme, friendship is a big theme, and I mean, it feels like by the end it's almost like Oh, it kind of just feels like those weird childhood nightmares that you just overcome, like when you're a kid and you have this great big imagination of going out and battling aliens together or some weird thing
Mhm.
like that. It's like,
Yeah,
no, this was an actual traumatic thing that probably happened to these kids, but nobody's ever going to believe them. But that's okay, because now that's over and they're moving on and they're going to have
right.
happier lives without any stress. They're probably like maybe really going to forget about Pennywise. Not each other, but probably Pennywise. They're not going to think about him that
Mhm.
much anymore.
Yeah. The whole thing is really, I think it's up to interpretation. Like, you could watch it and take away 100 different things from it. But I think it's a really beautiful experience. Even if it is a horror movie, it is it's just it's worth having regardless of if you like horror or not. It's a very meaningful watch, and I feel like we learn something new every time we watch it, whether we're laughing or we're crying. I think it it's really worth it. So yeah.
Think we were literally gonna get, like, pop sockets. Do you remember that?
Yes. Okay. Once we we did this thing. We went onto like the Pop Socket website or something, and we created pop sockets. One with Eddie on it and one with Richie on it because they're our favorites. We love them. We love their banter. They're so funny. And so we created them. I don't think we ever got them, but yeah, we were gonna have matching it pop sockets. It's better than matching tattoos. I'm I'm so indecisive that would we could work something out.
I still don't have a tattoo yet. Yeah,
Yeah.
but, yeah, we're definitely gonna finish Derry together because we feel like we just can't watch that without each other.
Mm-mm.
I have seen bits and pieces
Yeah, I've
of
seen
like
like
what he's
parts.
doing, and I'm amazed at like what he's including and kind of how deep he's going into the lore. So like he's really doing his homework and like he's getting into it.
Mhm.
And Bill Skarsgård is one of the producers,
Yeah.
which is so fun that Bill Skarsgård is also like, yeah, I mean, this is basically almost like my character now. Like let's keep going with him and
Yeah.
like digging deep into this. So
Yeah, it's
he
pretty
gets to
cool.
play with him even more,
Mhm.
and it's just it's very cool.
It is. It's very cool.
My matcha is gone. I've
Mine
been trying
yeah.
not to sip while you were talking and make little
I'm sorry. I probably was. Oh, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you
mhm.
so much. Um, yeah, mine's been gone for quite a while. Um, we clearly enjoyed it today. We actually we made it here. I filmed it, so you may or may not see that on our Instagram in the next few days. We're gonna try to dedicate a little more time to that page. See what we can get out of it. So be on the lookout for any new little tidbits. We've got some cool tricks up our sleeve. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This was a really fun episode. It let us ramble a little bit about one of our favorite things together. So, is there any good quotes we could end this with? I just went back to what we talked about. It's like, because you're small, you fit on a barbecue.
you're small, you could fit on a barbecue. I guess I could fit on a barbecue.
You
I'm
could.
small and I could.
I'm going to say that from now on. No, I'm not.
Shut up.
It's like, I nominate Trinity.
I'm not.
Small, you'd fit on a barbecue.
I am 5 foot. So.